Hi everyone. What we'll do is we'll wait a few seconds until all the attendees are in place, and we'll start the presentation here. Before we start, we just want to make people aware that there's a chat function on this. If you want to talk to any of the presenters, there's also a question module as well. Just to, if there's any questions that you feel you want to ask the presenters, either myself, Deb, or Ger, just throw them up into the chat section there. So I think we'll start here. This is being recorded, just let everyone know, and it's an awareness session of our own tech, which we will delve into later on. Just move on here. So just to give people an introduction to Symmetry. So Symmetry is a global presence with a global support network. We're spread across 1,000 it's 1,000 employees spread across 7 countries and 34 offices. We have a mantra within Symmetry and a purpose, and it's to challenge people to work smarter for a better future. And this is the reason for this session, is to inform all our customers and people in the industry of what is available to make them work smarter. We have 4 cornerstones, which are leading edge technology, knowledge and expertise, work smarter, and a trusted partner. These are explanatory enough in themselves. Work smarter is the main focus of this call. The leading edge technology is where we develop our own tech, and we also resell other partnerships that we engage with. And we like to see ourselves as a trusted partner for our customers, so that if they have any questions, we are at the end of a phone call or an email to resolve any issues they have. Moving on to our offerings, people always ask, what do Symmetry do? We see ourselves at the center of the AEC industry, from end client through to manufacture and construction of projects. We have a training division, a support division, we have a range of consultants, and we also offer software and project delivery assistance to customers who might be struggling on delivering projects within the industry. To supplement that, we have our own tech. One of these in particular will be the Naviate interface, which we'll be presenting there today. But we also have some other third-party offerings that we also present to customers. So we're not just an Autodesk and a own tech offering. We have multiple third-party partnerships that we engage with. Some of these are presented there on the screen. And moving on to Naviate. So it's our own tech that we've developed, and this is just a quote that we've been presented by the team, is, in this industry today, the bad news is the time is flying, and the good news is you're the pilot. And it's trying to use what's available within the industry to assist and to streamline your work plan. Here are the 3 divisions of our own tech. It's Naviate, Sevilla, and CQ. Within Naviate, it's broken into multiple areas, and the one we're focusing on today is the one that sits on top of Revit. These are the Naviate plugins that sit on top of Revit, and the one that we're focusing on today is Naviate Accelerate, which in most of the cases of the other plugins is like the foundation module that everything sits on. So you get Accelerate with structure, or you get Accelerate with architecture, with MEP. So it would, it's actually the way of working smarter and streamlining repetitive tasks. To people who don't know what Naviate Accelerate has, it has multiple features, and I think there's over 70 features that it has, but we've broken these down to the top 10. And well, Deb then is going to be presenting these features, and we will be sharing this document as well at the end to anyone who might be able to attend or might have any questions about some of the other features. what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pass it on to Deb. But first, what I'm going to do is just run a quick poll just to get an idea of the audience to see what they have in place and what's available. So just, if you can run that poll there, please. Yep, just wait a couple of seconds for these to come in. It's just submitting a vote there to see what people have within their organization. One good thing I see here is that out of all the audience, a good chunk is using a lot of their time spent on administration and repetitive tasks. And this is where Naviate Accelerate works its best. So what I'll do is I'll pass you on to Deb there now, who's going to delve into the Naviate Accelerate and show its benefits.
Thank you, Sean. I'm just going to take the screen there now. Hopefully that works.
Yes, I can see it there now.
That's great. That's perfect. So thanks, Sean. So I'm going to take everyone briefly through Naviate Accelerate for the next 35 minutes or so. As you can see, I'll just direct you firstly if you're wondering where to download the software from, if you haven't done that already. Naviate.com. There is a downloads portal. There's also a free trial area. So I think I've already added a couple of people into the portal already during the week. So you may already have a Symmetry login. In that case, you're resetting your password. You're going to the downloads area and you are navigating down to Naviate Accelerate and you're installing that for the version of Revit that you have. That will install as a plugin into Revit, so you'll see another tab on your ribbon. I've obviously got other kind of Naviates installed, but we're going to just run through Accelerate. So just to give you an idea of what's included in Accelerate before I get into the features, there is somewhere, I've counted the buttons one day, there's somewhere between 60 and 70 features in here, and there's a couple of secondary toolbars that open up as well. So kind of going from left to right, you have tools for families, you've got tools for filtering, find, select, unhiding elements in a view, you have a data section, so there's a lot of tools in here for parameters, for renumbering, for creating filters, for writing parameters into select zones in your model, so it's useful stuff in there. Kind of moving across then, sheets and views. This is one of your kind of your hidden secondary toolbars. So when I hit on the sheets and views button, that's going to open up another toolbar with a lot of tools in there that are relevant for creating views, managing them, managing your documentation, creating sheets and managing revisions. And we're going to have a look at some of those there shortly. Your next toolbar then, another hidden secondary toolbar, is Manage Project. So when I click on Manage Project, again, that's going to open up another range of tools, which is going to provide you with features that can help you clean up your Revit models. So if you want to run a cleanup on it, if you want to find hidden CAD files, if you want to manage your filters, your view templates, parameters, check and share coordinates, all of that can be found under Manage Project. Then I have a set of tools for publishing, setting up publish jobs to run for PDFs, DWGs, NWCs. I've some quick print options as well, so they're all there. And then there's two more kind of secondary hidden toolbars then at the end. Link and sync will send you into an area where you can do exports and imports, let's say between Excel, out to Excel, do your changes, push it back into Revit. There's BCF Manager in there. And if you're doing any work with IFC files, there's advanced export functions in there to kind of help you get the most out of exporting to IFC. And then the last kind of secondary toolbar at the very end there, Provision for Voids, is a tool for creating builders' workscopes. So if you have your MEP model linked into your architectural or your structural model, it's going to allow you to put kind of hosted objects in there to represent your builders' workscopes and then actually create the openings in your walls or your floors or your roofs. So there's a whole other toolbar in there as well. that's included with Accelerate. So as you can see that there's quite a lot, so we're going to see how much we get through in the next sort of 25 minutes or so. One of the features that I personally really like that I'm going to start with is color elements. So I have an architectural background, so I used to have to do a lot of drawings like for room schemes, fire rated drawings, colored elevations, even just sanity checking my models to make sure that all my families were consistent. And I do a lot of that. I used to do a lot of that with filters. So what color elements that you do is kind of streamline that process. So on the right hand side, I have all my Revit categories. So in this case, I'm going to do a really quick color scheme on this floor plan with my rooms. So I can select rooms from the list here. And then I'm going to have this choice between, do I want to work with instance parameters or type parameters? Because it's my rooms, that's instance parameters. So what I built in earlier was I built in the data into my departments. And like that, you can see the colors change instantly in the background. So it's generating a filter for each variable that I've put in for this parameter, and it's creating my color scheme for me. And what this allows me to do now is actually add these filters to the view, or I can add them into one of my view templates as well, so that I can roll that out across my set of drawings. I can also create my color fill legend as well from this screen. So I'm getting to do everything from the one interface, and I don't have to switch between different tools in the kind of the standard Revit toolbar. So if I close this dialog box now, it's going to retain all those colors that I've made. And when I go into my visibility graphics and I go to my filters tab, you can see it's made filters for me. It's added them all into this view. It's set the colors. And then obviously from there I can make any changes that I want to make, or can turn filters off or turn filters on. But that's really speeded up the process of me having to make filters one by one for each one of those departments. Or it could be that you're doing fire rated drawings. I can again go to my walls. I could go to fire rating, and it's reading that data that I've already put into that model, and it's just creating those filters almost instantly. So that's one that I really like to just speed up the creation of your drawings. The next one then that I find really quite beneficial is there's a renumbering tool. So I can't count the times over the years where I've had to renumber things like doors or windows because room numbers changed or extra rooms got added in, or you had to renumber curtain panels, or you had to renumber lighting arrangements, or whatever the case was. Quick renumber is a really handy little tool to help you do that, so you're not going around manually having to type in your change numbers. So what I've done kind of prior to this is I have dropped it in this detail line to create a path in the direction of where I want to renumber these particular doors. So I want to renumber them to match the rest of my numbering scheme, to pick up the floor level and the room number within this system. So again, I'm going to come back to my Naviate dialog box, and I'm going to pick the category of Revit family that I want to renumber. So I want to work with doors, and I know I have that number inside of that parameter there, mark, and I'm going to select that. So I want these numbers to start at 1, and I want to include then my prefix to include my floor level and my room number. So I can type that in, and that's room 101. Have a little dash after it, and then I can select my line. And what that's going to do then is it's just going to ask me to confirm that the direction of my line is correct, and if I've drawn it the other way around, I can reverse the order, and then I can press OK. And my door numbers have updated there automatically in the direction that I want them to go. So that's very useful. If you didn't want to do it by a line, you can also do it by selecting the object, so you could go around in a sequence as well, depending on what it is you're potentially renumbering. And again, if it's a Revit category that exists, it's going to appear on the list. So it should cover the majority of all your Revit categories in there. And there's other tools under this data section as well, which can be really beneficial. There's tools for combining parameters into one target. You can match parameter values from a linked model as well, and you can transfer calculated values from a schedule into an element as well. Another tool that we really like in here, and it's the last one before I go into sheets of views now, is editing parameters. So sometimes when you have to go and edit quite a long schedule in Revit, even copying and pasting between the rows, there's often a lag in it. So I can choose to pick a Revit category and build up a schedule within this view, or I can select a pre-existing schedule. So if I was to come to the drop down here and select my door schedule, it's loading up my door schedule from that I've already got pre-set up in my Revit view, but I want to make some changes in here and I want to do them faster than I could do them in the default Revit schedule. So I can see all of my doors here, and I can see that in frame type I've started to type in timber, but I haven't quite finished the process, and maybe timber isn't correct. Maybe we're making a master change and all of the doors in this project are actually going to be a metal frame. So I can type in metal and I can drag down the column, and Naviate's going to ask me what I want to do now. So I can fill copy into this area, or if this was a numbered sequence, if I was renumbering drawings, for example, or renumbering something else, I could do fill increment and it's going to increase 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and so on. So I can press fill copy and I can update the values in my Revit schedule, and that's now working away and it's pushing that information back in. And like that, within a space of a couple of seconds, I've updated 35 parameters and I haven't had to kind of copy and paste down through rows. So you can build this screen up to absolutely pull from a schedule you've already set up, or you can build it from scratch. So you could pick a category from the model, select the parameters that you want to work with into the screen, and like that work away. Now I have no information on ceilings there, so that one has come up blank. But it's a very, very fast tool, much faster than kind of working your way through the traditional Revit schedule. You can see there it's dropped metal into all of the ones that I copied and pasted into. Another time saver then, so I'm going to do a few features out of create sheets and views. There's quite a lot in here, but often in the past when I've worked on large floor plans, I've had to break these up into dependent views to get kind of zoned drawings done. And that often takes a lot of time, particularly if you're working on a multi-story building. You've got to make a dependent for every floor, you've got to name everything, you've got to crop everything. So what I've done in advance here is I've placed in my 3 scope boxes to define my areas where I want to create my dependent views. And then I can use the tool then in Naviate Create Views, which is going to open this dialog box for me. And I'm going to be able to make my dependent views from this. So I'm going to select what levels I want to make my views from. So just for speed, we're going to do ground first and second. And then the types of plans I want to create. So I want to create a floor plan and I want to use this particular view template. Now, if I wanted to do extras in here, I could. So I could have another set of floor plans for my floor finishes, my ceiling finishes, my wall finishes. I could keep adding to this. I could also do my ceiling finishes and put on my view template as well. Just going to do my floor plans for this demo. And then I'm going to tick on my dependent box. So I want to make dependents off this. And I'm going to pick the scope boxes that I want to use. So I just want to use these 3 that I've set up. So that should be about 9 or 10 views. So I'm going to press create views and that's going to process and that's going to start working. And you can see there it's kind of successfully made those 12 views. And they have appeared over here in my project browser. So if I press close there, and I'll just expand these out, it has made my floor plans and each one then is cropped to the relevant scope box. So Just another quick one that I'll throw in. Everybody hates dimensioning grid lines. I can hit dimension grids and that's automatically done in that view. And because obviously it's a dependent view, it's copied down into my 3 crop regions as well. So dimension grids is a fast one there for your floor plans. Now I want to get my views onto my sheets. And again, I don't want to do any of this manually. So all I have done in advance to show you is I've created one sheet first as a template. So I just have one GA plan already set up and I've put on my north point and I've put on a simple legend just for site boundary because I want all this information replicated across all of my floor plans. So I can use create sheets and I'm going to use this starting sheet as a template for what I want to replicate for my dependent views. So I will select that sheet template and then I'm going to select the views then that I want to create onto new sheets. So I'm going to be picking my recently created dependent views and you can see they're starting to auto-populate down into this parameters area. And then I'm also going to say where I want them placed on the sheet. So I'm just going to go center to center. And I'm also going to make sure that I have ticked on, I want to include any legends, any schedules or any symbols. I don't have any schedules on that template sheet, so I can turn that one off. But I want to make sure I include my site boundary legend and my north points. So they're going to replicate onto my new sheets as well. And then if I just expand this box out as big as it will go, I can see then all of my parameters. So the one that's in yellow is the template sheet. So it's automatically copying down any common parameters. So things like drawn by, that's automatically copying down. Now you can change that if it's somebody else's initials, checked by approver. I can start to actually type in as well, obviously the sheet names it's going to replicate. So there's a few small bit of work that you have to do as a user. But I can simply just start to fill this in and I can also copy and paste. So I can copy my sheet name straight into my title on sheet and that's going to copy and paste across as well. Again, I could take the view name as well and again I could potentially just copy and paste everything across. Just for speed of the demo today, I'm not going to type everything in manually. And then I also have all my ISO 19650 parameters kind of broken up as well. So I can put in my correct fields for my floor levels. And again, I can just copy and paste a lot of this information down really quickly. And from that, then once I have all of my information filled in correctly, I can hit create sheets and that will start to process those 9 drawings. And you can see there the toolbar how quickly that's done that. And those 9 sheets have just been created for me. To show you the evidence then, you can see everything kind of auto-populated in here. And it's dropped everything now. It's a small bit of tidying up to do with the section lines and that. But it's dropped everything on center to center. It's copied my north point, it's copied my legend, and it's done the naming as per what I set out there on the dialog box. If for whatever reason you need to go back and you need to batch edit all of your sheets, you can go into edit sheet parameters. You can select a set of sheets. If you forgot to fill in the checker, and this is actually really good for sanity checking your sheets as well to make sure you've filled in all your information. I can see checked by is actually missing on this one, so I can copy those initials and I can update those sheets. So edit sheet parameters, not just for batch changing, but also just for checking a batch of sheets before you send them out, is really useful. And then the last one in here that I'll show, update sheet revision parameters. So what I have created already in the project is I have my revision made already saying issued for tender and the date on it, and I want to get that onto all of those sheets as quick as possible. So I can come back into my sheets and views. Sorry, wrong one. Go to revision manager. I can select all of these sheets. I can come to the box on the side where I go edit revisions, and I can say these drawings have been issued for tender today, and that has automatically dropped my revisions onto those 21 sheets. And if I zoom in there now, just to prove it, issue for tender has been put into the description box. If I just pick another random sheet, you see everything is the same. Issued for tender has been dropped onto my revision box. So that's just way faster than doing these one by one. So obviously there's a lot more tools, there's a lot more functions in there for sheets and views, for room elevations, and for tagging. The tagging tool is very good, and creating empty sheets even as placeholders. So there's a lot of tools in there. There's a legend manager. So again, if anybody wants to look into that in depth with me, we can talk about that again afterwards. Manage projects then is really great from a BIM management perspective and just from cleaning and tidying up your models. There's a few tools in here, so I'll show you CAD Tracker first. So I've often worked on jobs where in the past where CAD drawings get imported and then they get copied and pasted around and you can't get rid of them because they get hidden and your model starts to just get bloated and it starts to slow down over time. CAD Tracker will give you a list of every single CAD file that is inside your Revit model, whether it's imported or whether it's linked, and it's going to tell you that information. It's going to tell you the base level where that CAD drawing lives. It's even going to tell you what workset it's been placed onto. And it's also going to tell you, as I scroll down through here, what views it's potentially going to show up on, or if I don't want it showing up on any particular views, I can turn it off and make sure it doesn't turn up. This guy here is an import, so somebody obviously brought in a family to trace over and it's been copied and pasted around and I want to clean this up. I can delete this import from the list and it will remove it from my model. So if you do find you have a model bloated and you know there's rogue CAD files in there, this tool will really help you get rid of them. And then project cleanup then is another one. So often, and Naviate will prompt you from time to time to tell you have to do something. So I need to save the model before I use this. Project cleanup then, if you ever have to detach a model and send it away to somebody and you need to clean it up beforehand, project cleanup will let you do that. So I can detach a model, I can save it out somewhere else, so I'm not saving over my main model. Again, I've changed the name as well, so happy with that. I've saved it out to a local location. And then it's going to give me options of what I want to clean up out of my model. So do I want to delete the views? Do I want to delete sheets? Remove links, remove CAD links, remove imports, purge unused. I can do all of that. And then there's several warnings then before it lets me go and do that. So that's actually saving a copy of that model out now. I've hit run, which I should have done. And that's going to save the model out.
Yeah, no, that's good.
There's a few questions popping in while that runs. That wasn't my intention to hit run there.
Yeah, no, there's a few questions after coming in there. One was the OPS function. I think it's the provision for voids. It's saying, well, does that create an OP or does it just put a placeholder?
So what it does first off is you'll say, okay, my target is this wall, my provision is a duct, and it's going to read that intersection and then it's going to place a generic object at that intersection point, and you can put a tolerance on it as well, so you can allow it for it to be a bit bigger if there's fire stopping or whatever in. And it's going to place a generic object in there, and you can review those openings then to make sure you're happy with it, and when you approve that opening it will automatically cut the hole in the wall. And those objects come with a filter as well that you can batch turn them off, so you're not left with all these red kind of boxes in your view.
Yep. And another one was about the dimensioning of grids.
Yeah.
Remember when we ran that feature, it said how does it how they defined? I think it's just the boundary limits.
It can read the grid lines on plan, and it can the software can make that distinction between what's a grid line and what's, like, let's say a wall, and it will dimension between the grids. At the minute, it only works on plan, but in the future it could work on sections and elevations as well. As you can see, this cleaned up model has now opened for me, and it's a temporary file, and I can close this.
Yeah, that I just like to comment on that. That's similar to the old e-transmit when you used to share files collaboratively. Does everyone? Someone has asked about Joe on that cleanup settings. Is there a way you can save it? And it's something that you can templatize that saving as well, so that you don't have to go through those turning on and off sliders. That can be saved as well.
Yeah,
so that
there's a lot of the tools in there. Actually, you can actually save a preset with it. So Connor's there asking about the tagging tool as well.
Yes.
You can save presets for tagging tool. I'll show the tagging tool there briefly. Actually, now I'm back into the model. So if I come back to this floor plan,
do you remember we were showing the CAD tracker? We've had customers and their files were getting very large. So we ran the CAD tracker and we found that they had CAD files inside in families that were imported into the platform. So this Naviate can find out those families that have CAD files embedded in them. So sorry about that. Now we can move on.
No, you're grand. It was my fault. I shouldn't have run project cleanup. I closed the model.
Oh, no, that's fine.
The tag settings. So what you can do is, I've no tags on this brand new view, so I want to get my room tags and my door tags on really quickly. I can come into tag settings, and what I can do is I can create configuration. So I've already created a couple there for room tag, for door tag, furniture tag. I'll just make another one there, and let's say window tag. And I can pick then the tag that's associated with this particular one. So again, I just have a default window tag in here. But if you had different door tags, let's say one's for fire, one for numbering, one for acoustics or anything like that, you can obviously have your different tag configurations made for different drawings. So with my room tag there, I have my room tag, let's say room tag with area, and I can save that out as an XML file, so I can bring that into another project. Then I can keep reusing that, so I don't have to set this up every time. So I can save that and I can close that. So now what I want to do tag all, because I've made 9 drawings here and I want to get them tagged so I can get these sent out. So with the traditional Revit tag all, it only works on the one view that you're in at that time. So you still have to open up every view and hit tag all. Whereas with the Naviate version, it brings up your list of views here. So I can go, right, I want to do room tags, and I want to do them off of all of these views that I just set up. There they are. I can see them because I can see the sheet that they're associated with. But because these are dependents, I can just pick the top level one and I can go add, and that is tagged all my rooms. I'm going to tag all my doors, and I'm going to tag all my furniture. And that dings every time it's done. And if I zoom in here now to my ground floor, you can see all my room tags are on, my door tags are on, my furniture tags are on. I didn't need to be tagging furniture, but just to show you the extent of how fast that was. And because they're dependents, obviously that's gone through into all my crop ones. So I have my 9 drawings now tagged. And again, I can come in and I can hit dimension grids. So my grids are now dimensioned. And in the space of that 20 minutes or so, I've put together 9 views, 9 sheets. Everything's named correctly, everything's tagged, everything's dimensioned, and I have revisions on them as well. So I've done that a lot quicker than I would have done if I was doing that sort of the traditional Revit route. And there's lots of tools in here, like that's just, I've just kind of done the tip of the iceberg really with it. There's other tools in here for Legend Manager, place legends. If you have a legend that you need to place across 20 drawings that you've already got set up, again, rather than dragging and dropping that legend onto each drawing one by one, I can just batch do it. Lots of like tools in there just designed to speed up that boring stuff that you don't want to spend half a day doing.
The other one I think is very good is the family browser as well.
Yeah. So family browser here at the start. 2 tabs. one, you can sort of pin where your most commonly used libraries are, where maybe your standard office content is, but also with loaded families, you can see what's already loaded into your project. If I, let's say, go to doors, for example, and I'll pick the single door, it's bringing me up graphically as well. These are all the types that are actually already loaded into my model, and it's bringing me a type browser as well. So I don't even have to open the family or go kind of burying down into the project browser further down. I can see all of the types that are in it, and I can see all of the parameters on that type as well. So I can sanity check my model from this level as well to make sure the right families are being used. There's no rogue stuff in there. And I get that graphic display as well, which is very handy. Also, just quickly before I pass across to Ger for him to show a few extra pieces, is your publish settings. So you can get all your publish presets up and running, so that when it comes to Friday and you have to print off PDFs, so you have to print off DWGs, you can get all your presets done. So I can add an NWC onto this, I can add an IFC onto it. So I've got like a print preset kind of already set up there. So when I go into the configuration for this, it's kind of pulling from my printer. These are my Bluebeam settings, so I know that these are going to come out on A0. And then I have my sheet set up as well. So I've got a sheet set with all sheets in this. So again, if I need to update that because I've made new sheets, I can add those onto my sheet set and save that from the Naviate dialog as well. I have my folder picked for where I want to save these out to, and I also have my file name and sorted as well. So in my case, with the ISO 19650 file naming, I have this broken up into separate parameters, and if I was just print that normally, I have to name every file as I go along, which takes forever. So again, I can preset the name that I want my PDF to come out in. I can do the same with DWG, and I can save that as a preset, or I can hit print now if I wanted to run them now. And then, let's say Friday comes along and you need to print and you need to do exports, I can tick on the ones that I want to do. I can hit publish, and that's going to start running on a process. So you can see there, all my sheets will be printed and 19 sheets will be exported out to DWG. I could add on an NWC export as well, and I could configure my settings for that. And again, they'll just run in a sequence. So the print will go first, then the DWGs, then the NWCs.
Yep.
And again, I can save the session as well. So again, it's just there, it's done, and I don't need to go back to it.
There's also one with, like, there's small things that I find very good is the section. So if you had a building that was not horizontal and you wanted to run a section against it, the small things working like that section mark, where you, so they will show it here.
Perfectly parallel to the wall.
Yeah.
Very handy for when you have an angled building.
Yeah, there's another questions come in there. Does automated tagging work for systems such as pipework containment and offer suggested placements?
It should do, because if it's a family and if it's taggable, you should be able to set a configuration for it. I don't have a very good MEP model to demo, and that's why I use this architectural one. But yes, I could do a configuration for containment, and I don't think I have a tag in here, but again, there's cable tray fitness, there's cable tray. So if you have a tag for cable tray, you can obviously select that. I don't have anything loaded. You can pick the location as well. So if you want it centered, if you want it top left, there's an XY coordinate which you could offset it against. And you can also include whether or not you want the leader line turned on your tag as well. So you have that configuration. So you might have to do a little bit of testing just to get your configuration, your location right. But then you can save that often and you have it done.
And this is, as Deb said, this is just the foundation module of the Naviate platform. Like there's other things like room data sheets, and I think there is a individual room data sheet generator as well. So people here who are attending who are architects, there's an option of doing that too as well.
There's a very simplified just room elevations tool. The other product, Naviate Architecture, has a full tool for running off room data sheets in it, which will create your floor, your ceiling, your elevations, and put them all on a sheet for you. Accelerate gives you kind of a taster of that by giving you just the room elevations on its own kind of but then you can place those views onto a sheet. So there's a little bit of a workaround to it if you don't have architecture, if you don't have the full like room drawings tool.
Yeah.
We also have MEP as well, which we brought Ger on just because we've had a lot of questions coming in about MEP. Just for Ger to just show one or two things because we do have some MEP people on the list as well.
Yeah, no, 100%. Do you want me to share my screen there, Deb?
Yeah, just to give people, because yeah, we've had a lot of questions coming in,
Perfect.
so just to address it to the people who are here.
Yeah, sure. Let me know when you can see my screen there. You see that okay?
I'm going to stop sharing mine. Yeah.
Brilliant stuff. Yeah, so like Deb said there, I suppose Naviate is geared towards, trying to drive efficiency and getting rid of some of the tedious tasks that Revit has inside there. So the likes of Naviate Architecture, I suppose today's webinar is to focus on that. But again, like Deb was saying there, you have, like Naviate Accelerate, you also have Naviate Architecture and Naviate MEP, which kind of, again, focuses into their independent disciplines. So I suppose one of the key things that comes with Naviate MEP is generally, I suppose, as M&E, you're working in multiple different views and you're trying to create 50 or 60 different sections in which by then you create your models based off that. And yeah, you're trying to draw your piping in the direction that you want with the angles that you want. And one of the key focuses that Naviate MEP has offer is you can just work on one single view. So for example, on my screen here, you can see that I could have potentially just the ground floor plan or the first floor plan, or like I have here, the coordinated view on the ground floor inside here where I can see the whether it be ventilation, whether it be cable trays or piping. And then beside that, then I have my 3D model. So I can see visually how it's working on 3D and on 2D. So again, just to show you today's one was more about Naviate Accelerate, but just to show quickly how it works. So inside here, you can turn this into a T, and using Naviate MEP, you have these functions whereby you can create extensions and elbows all within inside in the one 3D view. So not only can you use these buttons like Deb was showing and like I'll show here, but you can create custom shortcuts for it. So I could come up here and select on the bloom option, or if I just hit BB on my keyboard, I can select on it and automatically create an extension from that. And again, you can see that, again, one of the I suppose, the pains with working in Revit is working with slopes, as most of you know. And you can see that it maintains the slope that the pipe is at. So again, if I just hit, again, my shortcut inside here, EE, for elbow up, it'll automatically do an extension up the way inside here. So I can look at it then in terms of an elevation on that 3D view. And what I can do then is I can choose to extend it then to maybe the distance or the length that I want. So often is the scenario inside here is that you're trying to connect a branch into that. And again, this will have a slope associated to it. So a lot of you know then trying to connect slopes into an existing pipe, one of the harder things to do inside in Revit. So again, you have these connection elements inside here. So if I select on a line branch, I select on my main, select on the branch, and that will align it so that now I can just hit trim extend and I can trim them into each other like so. All right, so you can easily see again, if I select on that individual one, it's maintained the slope and it's connecting down into that main branch. So same thing if I'm trying to continue on modeling, I'll just delete the elbow and the vertical alignment here. I'll go elbow up at 45 degrees, elbow down at 45 degrees, and you can still, again, inside here, it's maintaining the slope always inside here. So for example, you might have a scenario where this might be deleted and you might have a pipe that's coming from, again, it could be coming from the main road down into this, the sanitary piping inside here. So you might have a pipe up here and it needs to connect down into a pipe down here. So again, you'll have to work in multiple different sections. But not only that is often you don't get the connections that you want. Inside here, you have the likes of route 2. So if I select on route 2, it asks me what angle I want the fittings to be at. So let's say, for example, I'm just going to do the 90 degrees inside here. Select on this pipe, select here, and it can automatically do that connection inside here. So again, if I had the linked architectural model open with that, I might say I want to move that, again, all inside in this 3D view. I want to move that up against the wall inside here. So again, it could be a 90-degree fitting like I just did there. It could be 45, it can be 30 degrees. And the same thing. So if, for example, you're looking at a mechanical equipment back here, inside here, again, if I hit bloom, I can cause an extension out of each connection that's coming from that piece of mechanical unit. And most people ask is, how do I know what system that's going to inherit? You can select on this guy up here called MEP systems. And you can choose when you select on that in terms of ducting, if you're using the supply air, if exhaust or turn, what type of duct it's using, maybe what work set it's going to go out of, and maybe what fittings are going to be associated with that. Same thing to do with piping. Inside here, if I wanted to change, maybe even though the system classification could be sanitary, I wanted to inherit a different system type. I can choose a different system type that's going to inherit. And when I'm using sanitary piping, I can make sure that it's always on the correct work set. So again, another pain inside in Revit is normally, you could be creating your pipe work and you realize that I've created all this on the ventilation work set. It should all be on the mechanical. So by presetting all these work sets inside here, you're ensuring that you don't even have to remember that. So again, inside here, you can start from scratch. You have a piece of drainage inside here. Again, I can go BB for bloom. It'll automatically inherit the sanitary element that's coming out of it. And normally you might have, again, a P-trap like so that you could place into your model, and you need to connect this into that. And generally with these, they're hosted like a horizontal plane inside here. So they can be difficult to try and rotate and then to connect. So using inside here, again, you can use your connection tools. So I can say move, connect the line, select on the pipe, select on the side of the fitting, and it'll automatically connect into it. And same thing, hit BB for bloom, cause an extension out of that. And you can see inside here, that doesn't have a slope associated. So what I can do is I want to now connect that into the main run like I have here. I can do a pre-selection, come inside into Naviate, rotate fitting, about this pipe that's vertically down, and minus 90. So from that then inside here, maybe I realize that this is the wrong classification that it's using. So I'll go delete system, and I'll remove that system. So what I can do then is see the way, just again, for example, this doesn't have any slope associated to it, but the pipe that I want to connect into does. So very quickly I can just go align branch plus, and this option here would allow me then to inherit that slope. So you can see that that's now changed to the slope I want. So if I go trim extend into that, that will now inherit then that system as well. And just another small thing inside here, normally when you do splits, it'll place a coupling in between those elements. So if I go split with gap, I'll choose the two sides that I want to split in, and I'll just automatically do the gap without any coupling. So just for example, again, I'll select on these elements over here. And again, you can notice I'm working in the same 3D view, but I'll copy that over here. That's now not connected in. But again, I'll use the move connect option inside here. So select this fitting, select that edge, it'll connect into it, and here as well. So very simply, you can see that I can start modeling out of that, and inside here I can go elbow up, elbow down, and again you can see how fast it is to model inside here. So again, inside here what I can do is pre-selection, rotate fitting about this angle, and this might be a 90 degrees. So same thing on this side. So just very quickly, elbow up, elbow down, do a pre-selection again of those two fittings, rotate fitting, same thing, 90 degrees. So these aren't aligned with each other fully. So again, just in case they aren't aligned, you can use the align in 3D option, select on these two branches, make sure they're connected. See the way that's just dropped up slightly, and then again using move connect then to connect those into each other. So how fast you can start modeling inside here.
Yeah.
So yeah, just a brief snippet of what Naviate MEP can do. It can do a lot more than that. You can see you have features for electrical, adding removing circuits or copying circuits from one level up to another. And you can see even the likes of, very quickly, you can do the likes of, just to show you, an often pain inside here is when you're trying to do clash detection. And inside here, you could have piping inside here that's clashing with cable tray. So what I can do is a pre-selection inside here, go back to Naviate, reroute under over, select the two sides I want to reroute under, what distance do I want it to draw down below, what fitting, and it'll automatically drop it under them. All right, so again, just a snippet of what Naviate MEP can do, but today's webinar was more focused on Naviate Accelerate. So
yeah, and we'll happily present it to anyone. If anyone's interested in Naviate MEP, we can do an online demo, face-to-face demo, or anything like that. It's more about creating awareness of what Symmetry have. And I know some of the attendees here might have access to a trial license of Accelerate or MEP, and some have had licenses as part of sales kind of discussions we've had. So we would happily make sure that you're onboarded and it's installed and tested. If we also have implementation support available to any of the people who are interested on it. And over time, we'll do some ROI calculations. Even it's clear there with Deb and Ger that we can focus more time on the design and the actual job that you're hired to do, rather than constantly doing revisions on sheets, doing annotating floor plans, and as Ger was showing, jumping into sections and floor plans to do some MEP modeling. There's also some learning and training paths as well. There's a Pinnacle series, a Pinnacle platform that sits on top of Naviate as well. So if you're struggling with some features, it has that to assist you. We also have a YouTube link that we can share with anyone as well. And R&D is very prominent in Symmetry. What we do is, if there's any requests for changes to the platform, it's put to the product design team and the development team, and they will put it through a review, and if it's a viable request, they will update it in the next update. There's also we've the PowerPoint as well that's available for download if necessary to people. And does anyone have any further questions before we finish up? I was just checking there. We've other solutions that sit on top of fabrication, mechanical, electrical, site, landscaping. We focus a lot as well on sustainability. If there are attendees who want to meet embodied carbon requirements, we'll happily showcase the solution for that too as well. So I think the link, the PDF, I'm trying to see if it's there. No, what we do is we can email a link to the PDF of this if necessary. What's there? It's actually there in the chat. So if anyone who wants to download it, happy to click on that link. If anyone wants to contact us afterwards, if they have any questions, and we can dig further into the platform. Like Deb only showed 10 out of the 60 to 70 features. Like it has excellent features to streamline modeling processes, and same with Ger and MEP. So thanks everyone, and thanks
you,
Deb
everyone.
and Ger.
lovely, thanks for everyone.
Thank you.